What happens when a routine traffic stop takes a completely unexpected turn? A quiet road, a white man behind the wheel, and a black officer doing his job. It all starts like any other day. But then, something so absurd happens, you can't help but laugh. Instead of reaching for his driver's license, this man pulls out a banana. Yes, a banana. Was it a joke? A mistake? Or something even more surprising? It's the kind of moment that makes you wonder, how will the officer respond? Will this break the tension or make things worse? It's a quiet afternoon on a calm suburban street. The air is still, the kind of day where time seems to slow down. Cars hum softly in the distance, birds chirp lazily, and the sun casts long, warm shadows across the pavement. It feels like nothing out of the ordinary could happen here. But that's the thing about ordinary days. They have a way of surprising you. A white sedan rolls down the road, its engine humming steadily. Behind the wheel is a man, probably in his mid-30s, with a slight smirk playing at the corner of his lips. He's trying to look calm, but there's a flicker of nervous energy in his eyes. His fingers drum lightly on the steering wheel as if he's weighing his options. He knows why he's been pulled over, but something in him says, why not make this interesting? A few feet behind him, a patrol car sits with its lights flashing, a stark contrast to the serene backdrop. The black officer inside is the picture of professionalism. Sunglasses on, uniform crisp, and posture straight. He's done this 100 times before. Traffic stops are routine, predictable, until they're not. As the officer steps out of his car, his boots make a faint crunch against the asphalt. He approaches with measured steps, his gaze steady but not unkind. His every move is deliberate, projecting authority without intimidation. To him, this is just another day on the job. He's seen it all, or so he thinks. Inside the car, the driver feels the weight of the moment. His mind races. Do I go for the usual routine? Or do I... He glances at the passenger seat. There it is, a ripe, yellow banana sitting in a brown paper bag. His smirk grows into a grin. It's absurd, ridiculous. And yet, the idea takes hold. As the officer gets closer, the tension builds. The driver's heartbeat quickens, but his sense of humor overrides his nerves. Let's see how this plays out, he thinks, reaching for the banana instead of his wallet. The officer arrives at the window, ready for the usual exchange. But this isn't going to be a typical stop. The stage is set, the characters are in place, and the most unexpected moment is just seconds away. The officer stands at the driver's side window, clipboard in hand, waiting patiently. The tension is subtle but present, a familiar energy in these situations. Inside the car, the driver fumbles through the center console, his movements deliberate yet slightly chaotic. His wallet is there somewhere, but his hand brushes against something else. Something smooth. Something yellow. For a split second, he pauses. His fingers wrap around the object, and a playful thought surfaces. This could be funny, or it could backfire spectacularly. He takes a breath, trying to steady his nerves as he slowly lifts the banana out of the bag. His heart races, but a mischievous grin creeps onto his face. The officer leans forward, his expression neutral, waiting for the driver to hand over what he assumes will be a license. But when the banana emerges, everything changes. The officer blinks, his professional mask momentarily slipping. He looks at the fruit, then back at the driver. His brow furrows slightly, a mix of confusion and disbelief washing over him. For a moment, it's as if time freezes. The driver, sensing the weight of the silence, decides to lean into the absurdity. "Officer," he says, holding the banana like it's a priceless artifact. "I know it's not a license, but it's packed with vitamins and potassium. That's got to count for something, right?" The officer stares, the corners of his mouth twitching as he fights to maintain composure. His gaze shifts between the banana and the driver, clearly torn between his professional duty and the sheer ridiculousness of the situation. "Sir," the officer finally says, his voice steady but laced with a hint of incredulity, "this isn't your license." The driver nods solemnly, as if acknowledging some unspoken truth. No, he replies, but it's loaded with good intentions. The silence is broken by an unexpected chuckle. The officer can't help it. The absurdity of the moment breaks through the routine seriousness of his job. His chuckle turns into a laugh, a deep, genuine sound that catches even him by surprise. For a moment, the two are no longer officer and driver. They're just two people sharing an unexpectedly funny moment on an otherwise ordinary day. The driver, emboldened by the laugh, leans back in his seat trying to play it cool. You know, he says with a smirk, I heard this is the preferred ID in certain tropical regions. The officer shakes his head, his laughter subsiding but the smile lingering. Sir, he says, gesturing toward the banana, I'll need your actual license, but I'll admit, that's a first. As the driver finally hands over his wallet, the tension has completely evaporated, replaced by a shared moment of levity. The absurdity of the banana exchange lingers in the air, leaving both men with a story they'll probably tell for years. For the officer, it's a reminder that even the most routine moments can take an unexpected turn. For the driver, it's proof that a little humor can go a long way, even if it means peeling into trouble first. For a moment, the officer stands still, his expression unreadable as he processes what just happened. The banana sits in the driver's hand, as bold and out of place as a flamingo in a desert. The officer's years of training kick in, keeping his tone steady and his posture professional. But inside, there's a flicker of disbelief. Did this man really just hand me a banana? He takes a breath, letting the humor of the situation sink in. His lips press together, fighting a smile. He knows he has to respond, but how do you address a moment like this while maintaining composure? Finally, he tilts his head slightly and says, Sir, I appreciate the gesture, but the law doesn't recognize bananas as identification. The driver doesn't miss a beat. He grins, leaning forward with the confidence of someone fully committed to the joke. Well, it's yellow, he says, holding the banana up like it's Exhibit A, and technically it's legal tender in certain circles. The officer raises an eyebrow, the ghost of a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. He doesn't want to encourage this, but the driver's comedic timing is hard to ignore. He folds his arms, maintaining a professional stance, and replies, I'm afraid those circles don't include the DMV, sir. The driver chuckles, shrugging theatrically. Hey, it's worth a shot, right? You have to admit, it's a pretty appealing ID. The officer exhales sharply through his nose, a laugh he didn't mean to let slip. He clears his throat, attempting to regain his authoritative tone. All right, he says, gesturing toward the driver's wallet. How about we stick to the basics? License, registration, and proof of insurance. The driver nods, still grinning, and finally sets the banana down on the passenger seat. As he hands over the proper documents, he can't resist one last quip. For the record, this banana's got no points on its record. Clean as a whistle. The officer glances at the documents, his composure intact, but there's a lightness in his demeanor now. The tension from earlier has completely dissolved, replaced by a shared sense of amusement. Moments like these are rare in a job that often demand seriousness, but this one stands out, a testament to how a touch of humor can shift the entire tone of a situation. As the officer hands back the driver's papers, there's a faint chuckle between them, a mutual understanding that this encounter won't be forgotten anytime soon. Now, let's take a moment to talk about why this hilarious interaction has captured so much attention. Think about it. Traffic stops are usually tense, routine, even a little nerve-wracking. But this? This was pure comedic gold wrapped in the skin of a banana. What makes this moment resonate is its sheer absurdity. Here's a situation that could have gone the usual route. License, registration, a polite but stern exchange. But instead it turned into something completely unexpected. It's the perfect combination of humor and humanity. And let's be honest, who hasn't had a moment where they thought, what if I just did something totally out of the box right now? Most of us would never actually do it, but this guy, He went all in. It's like a real-life version of those viral moments we can't stop watching. The ones where someone's quick wit or quirky sense of humor completely flips the script. Think about other legendary traffic stop stories. The guy who handed over a Monopoly get-out-of-jail-free card, or the woman who tried to bribe an officer with a box of donuts. This one fits right in with the Hall of Fame for comedic encounters, except this time, it comes with a side of potassium. And here's the best part. It's not just funny, it's relatable. Humor like this reminds us that even in everyday situations, there's room for a little levity. It's a reminder that we're all human, and sometimes it's okay to laugh at life's absurd moments. But now, it's your turn. Let's flip the question to you. What would you have done if you were the officer in this situation? Would you have kept your cool, or would you have burst out laughing on the spot? And drivers, be honest. Have you ever thought about pulling a stunt like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's hear your funniest or most creative ideas for a traffic stop twist. Who knows? Maybe your suggestion will inspire the next viral moment. After all, in a world like this, the best stories are often the ones you least expect. And then, just when you think this story couldn't get any more unexpected, the officer does something truly surprising. With a slow, knowing grin, he extends his hand toward the banana. "Is it organic?" he asks, deadpan, his voice betraying just the slightest hint of amusement. The driver blinks, caught off guard for a moment, but quickly catches on. He chuckles, holding the banana up like it's a rare artifact. "Only the best for you, officer," he says, playing along. The mood shifts. No longer just a routine traffic stop, but a shared moment of laughter between two strangers who, for a brief second, are no longer officer and driver, but just two people enjoying a light-hearted exchange. The driver, now realizing the humor might have gone a bit far, reaches into his wallet and pulls out his actual license with an apologetic grin. All right, here's the real deal," he says, handing it over. The officer takes it, nodding with a smile. "I was hoping you'd say that," he quips, giving a playful wink. And just like that, the tension that could have lingered over the situation evaporates. The officer hands back the license, but not before offering a firm handshake, signaling the end of the encounter, and a reminder of how laughter can break down barriers, even in the most unexpected of places. As they part ways, both share a laugh, a moment of human connection that transformed a routine traffic stop into something memorable. For all the seriousness we often expect from law enforcement, moments like these remind us of the power of humor to bridge the gap and leave everyone with a smile. So let's quickly recap the key moments from today's wild ride. What started as a simple traffic stop, nerve-wracking for the driver, professional for the officer, took a hilarious twist when the driver, instead of handing over his license, casually handed the officer a banana. The officer's initial confusion turned into amusement, and before long the two were sharing laughs instead of tension. The driver's playful antics and the officer's good-natured response created a moment that no one would soon forget. In the end, the driver got back on track with the real license, and the officer even joked about the organic banana. Both of them laughing and shaking hands as they parted ways. A little laughter, as it turns out, can make the most unexpected situations memorable. But here's the thing. Moments like this remind us that humor is a powerful tool. It breaks down barriers, diffuses tension, and leaves everyone with a smile. It's a reminder that even in the most routine situations, we have the power to turn things around with a little laughter. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Would you have pulled a banana stunt like this? Or would you have kept things more traditional? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed the ride. And hey, if you want to see more crazy, funny, and totally unexpected moments like this, make sure to subscribe. You never know what kind of wild scenarios we'll dive into next. Got an idea for a hilarious traffic stop? Or any other out-of-the-box situation? Let us know below. We can't wait to hear what you think, and keep the fun going.